Hey, thanks again for tuning in to the Conversation podcast here at Mccurdy's Comedy Theater. We are in the third week of November, and this week we had two special appearances, two special events. We had Diane Ford on Wednesday and Thursday. She was filming a special. And we also had Sean Wayans of the Wayans Brothers. He was on Friday and Saturday. All these guys had great shows, so we actually had to skip the podcast this week. So I'm actually bringing you a podcast that we did way back in June with our headliner, Darryl Lenox. A true legend of the game. He has been doing it forever. He's been on Conan, Comedy Central, What the Fuck with Mark Maron, and he knows it all. I got to talk with him, and he has so much insight to the game. And if you are into comedy, or you want to do comedy, or you're doing comedy, I would highly suggest you listen to this podcast, because he really has a lot of great notes just to help you elevate your game, honestly. We also had our feature comic of that week, Chris Griffin. He is from Vancouver, Canada, and he is a very, very good storyteller. He tells some of the best stories I've heard on stage, and he actually has a lot of insight on how you do tell a story. He's got a lot of great tips that a lot of you up-and-coming comics could probably use, and I love talking to this guy. It was a ball hanging out with both these guys. We also had Geno Williams as a special guest. He's been on plenty of the podcast. Y'all are familiar with him. If you know anything about Mccurdy's, you know Geno the Garbage Man. We got to talk a lot with him. Him and Darryl got into all different types of stuff about basketball and how to elevate your game in the comedy game and all this stuff. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. I had a blast talking to these guys. And yeah, here it is. Give it up for Darryl Lenox, Chris Griffin, and Geno Williams.
Welcome to the conversation. So we're hot? We're hot. All right.
Rolling.
Mccurdy's Comedy Theater, the conversation. We're in the back green room where the comics hang out. And, of course, again, this is as much as we can just capture the natural conversation during the course of the show tonight that'll be going on, with mics in our faces. That's what we're trying to do. And tonight our headliner is Darryl Lenox. Darryl is right over here. I'm going to get the mic a little closer to you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So they can just hear your voice.
All right. How's that? Sound all right, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you sound great.
Sound
Okay,
good?
Thank you.
And then our feature act's Chris Griffin. He's gone out to get beer and tequila
That's what I
for
always
Darryl.
That's my pre-show ritual. You know, LeBron would throw that dust in the air before the game.
That's your
my
dust in the air.
Beer in the shot, throw that dust in the air.
That's pretty awesome, man.
And that's the voice of Eugene Williams, Geno the Garbage Man, who
Yeah.
is one of our great comics that lives right here in Sarasota.
How's your
And,
game been going? How's your comedy game been going, man?
Oh man, it's been going pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I really been enjoying it, you know.
Have you felt any? I'll give you an example. I'll describe what I mean the way so you can answer my question better. It's like, so I played point guard, and so I knew how to get the ball where everybody liked and stuff. So when I do my comedy, I think about, okay, what's going to be the best way for me to put it where they can get it. They don't know that I know where I want them to be, so I have to lead them in that direction, like running the one. Can you figure out how you do in comedy what you did in basketball?
I think I done started to figure it out pretty good. You know,
Yeah.
I think I lead them with my actions, the way I handle myself on the stage. You know what I mean? The certain movements, the certain eye contacts, a lot of things I do on the stage, animated.
Gotcha.
It's my way of
All right.
point guarding the thing all the way through.
Sure.
So
You
it's
choir
been
director
fun.
too?
Huh?
You choir director too? A little bit?
Little bit.
I never heard you sing.
Little bit.
You
little
direct a
bit.
choir. That's the way you described it. That fit made you direct a choir. You got it. You can sing, but you still you got to point to who's gonna be singing, who's not gonna be singing. You still got to lead, right?
You be pointing at me not to sing.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, come on over. Yeah. Chris Griffin from Vancouver is our feature act this week with Darryl. He's been in before. So sit here and talk for just a second so they hear your voice. Okay. All right. Say hello.
Hey, everyone.
All
What's
right.
up, guys? Chris.
All right. Carry on, Darryl.
Yeah. So, how about you, Chris? You play football, you play basketball?
I play both,
Yeah.
but I was better at football.
So I was asking Geno if you could tell by the way you do comedy, if there's any kind of corollary stuff to the way you play football.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wild out at football, like I'm on stage.
Like special teams.
Head first. Yeah.
Special
That's
teams.
Special teams. Do. I can tell by the way you do comedy. That's the same way.
Yeah, shit talking. Yeah.
To be honest, you let off the same amount of energy though. For real, it seems like when you're on stage, they don't realize it, but you let off a lot of energy on that stage. You know what I mean? A lot of when you come off that stage, it's like you've been playing in a game. You know?
And it's like you had a good game or a bad game kind of thing.
Yeah. I still dream basketball dreams. Even when I'm thinking whether I'm doing business or comedy or whatever, I still feel like, I was way above the rim on that one. Like all my analogies is all basketball. It's crazy. I ain't played in 30 years, but I still feel basketball is always the way that I get things done in my mind.
You still love it. You still love the game.
It's what it's the two things I dedicated my life to was comedy and basketball. So basketball was the first half, and then comedy took over then.
Hey, that's how it is. That's a good life.
Yeah, man.
That's a real good life.
Yeah. It's different too. Sometimes when I'll like when I play Mccurdy's, this is like a ACC room. You know what I mean? As opposed to some of them rooms out there, it's like, all right, we're in the MAC 2. just little rat ass gyms.
Yeah.
Because you will not be asked back if you don't do right here.
Yeah.
In the best clubs, they'll thank you like you got standing ovations, but you ain't never coming back, man.
Yeah. That's why I gotta be the ACC here.
You gotta
bring it when you come here.
Bring it.
Oh yeah. I feel like that as well. You gotta bring it when you come here.
You never know, because they will never tell you. They never tell you when you did bad.
They always say you clap the hand. That was a great set.
Week. That was
when you hit that week.
You gotta know. You gotta have some feeling.
Yes, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of people don't.
I believe they know. They don't show it in front of us. Once they get in that car, they be like
crying.
Yeah, I ain't do good on that.
Yeah.
It's that feeling. So, Mike, how the podcast been going for you?
Pretty good, man. I'm just sit here and monitor sound and try to keep y'all talking, basically.
That's good. I saw your set last night. It's pretty great, man.
At the open mic?
Yeah,
I feel like I did terrible.
No, you did fantastic, man. It was like a wild out room, and you kind of calmed them down and then got them on things.
I thought you left a little meat on the bone when you started talking about you as Native American and did LSD. That seemed like that might cancel each other out. Don't natives have a natural LSD inside them anyway?
Yeah, it's always just flowing through our blood.
So I thought that might cancel each other out. I thought that would be funny. So you did LSD and then just got extra crispy white or something. Then it was like, let me do my taxes.
I went on a spirit walk,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just did something absolute opposite of what people expect native culture to do. I was weird. I was like, this dude just native and LSD? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm scared of that kind of stuff. I never did it. Yeah, I never did it.
It's like I think that's like the natural reaction you're supposed to get. It's like it's scary. Yeah. Because it is what it is. I've done it a few times, but
it's a good.
But if you listen to the story, it wasn't good. Like you don't take acid at 3 o'clock in the morning and then trip till 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes, I've done that before.
When you've already been up for 12 hours, like it's a terrible idea. Yeah.
Wow.
Like just imagine being up for 30 hours straight, basically. Yeah.
Dude, I got limbiasitis. I'm scared to do anything because of limb bias.
Yeah,
I really am. Yeah, that scares the hell out of me all the time.
Yeah, I want to go to Peru, do ayahuasca, I think.
Yeah.
It's legal there, right? Is that?
I don't know. Yeah.
They just have it.
I don't even know if there's laws. Yeah, you just go in the jungle, but
you can do that in Vancouver at the YMCA. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, but I want to do the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true though. You can.
Yeah.
Damon did it at the YMCA. Now, who is now that girl?
Yeah, the girl. Yeah.
That girl
At the YMCA.
Yeah.
They do ayahuasca at the YMCA.
Yeah, they rent it out. Just get wild.
It's Vancouver, baby. You better come up there. You better come up there, Chief LSD.
Chief LSD.
That sounds like the place to be, Vancouver.
I love it so much, man. I really do.
How's the comedy scene up there? I've never actually been up there.
You know what? It was. I think it's about to go to another level. It used to be on point. Right in the 90s, because everybody was doing good in the 90s, but it used to be real big in the 90s. And now I think it's a surge about to come up. Because right on that West Coast pipeline, you got the film and TV industry big up there too.
Yeah.
So you get all the San Francisco, LA cats all coming through. But it's getting nice. Like Ray Romano just popped in the Yuck Yucks last week. And did a
Really?
just in town doing a movie or something. Just
It's
came
good. And then the open mic scene right now is good. Like
Really
a couple
good.
shows a night. So I think that wave's gonna come once those guys get.
You can
in
get
shape,
7.
yeah.
You can get 7. You can get 7 nights.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't see that here. It's
Right.
It's even in Tampa, it's
Right.
still hard to get up that many times in 1 week. It's
You
crazy.
say 7 nights?
7 nighs.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
I don't want this to sound crazy, but I never feel like this is like a real ambitious place, the state of Florida, besides
Oh,
football.
hell no.
You know what I mean? I'm people like, oh man, I got to go there and make it. Except for like
Nah.
in sports and stuff, and obviously Les is killing it. But it just seems like people cool with just,
Yeah.
you know,
Just existing.
yeah. That's,
Well, it's where ambition like goes to stop because like you're retired most. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a retirement state, and this
Yeah,
is a
Florida,
retirement town.
Florida where they come to retire.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny when
You
you
know?
ask any audience member like, "What do you do for a living?" and they're like, "Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
nothing.
all your ambitions is up north, and then
Yeah.
you come down here just to get away.
Yeah.
I can only do little bits at a time. Then I start to get real uncomfortable. I feel like I'm too far away from everything. Feel like I'm always got to make moves. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I get real uncomfortable when I be out here too long.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
they do is golf. And like you're right. You'll be like, what do you do? And they're like, I don't do anything. Like, what did you do? Like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It's
And
so
it's
long
like,
ago.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I know, but I like the people here. But yeah,
Yeah.
Florida's like Vegas for me. I can't. If I did more than 5 days, it'd
Yeah.
be too much. I
Yeah.
feel. Yeah. Unless I was relaxing, but.
I really think they put. So I think because the tap water is so nasty.
It's
Even
swamp
when I
water.
shower, I'm like, am I getting clean or is it just come
I
out
think
green?
because tap water is so nasty, that adds to the alcohol abuse. Because I'll be getting out in alcohol here.
Yeah.
They put some of that water in the alcohol? Because it seems like that don't be regular alcohol. I mean,
don't
I'm
know.
serious.
I don't know what they use, man.
Man.
I don't know what they use.
Yeah.
I don't know what's over, but yeah, I get towed down when I'm out here, boy.
Yeah, it shouldn't be brewed in Florida. Like nothing should be brewed in Florida.
Well, man.
I know, even like the Pepsi or Coke taste, like you can just feel, you're like, man, what is this? Or,
Yeah.
like, taste that water.
It's definitely different, man. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
Man. Except the water Mccurdy's, that's the best goddamn water you ever gonna taste.
Yes.
That's how you get rebooked,
Yeah.
boys.
Mountain fresh water.
It's filtered. It's all. It's
Yeah.
great. It's just Fiji from the taps. It's great. It's fantastic.
I don't know. Well, have you seen the numbers tonight?
No, but I saw him for Saturday. Saturday
Yeah.
looks good,
Yeah.
and Friday looks pretty good too. So
Yeah. When I walked through, it was pretty busy. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thursdays do good here. I don't know. I think it's because like everybody comes out almost like the pre-weekend, like they're pre-gaming for the weekend.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. Like you said, it's retirement time, so like they're coming out to get their deep sweat.
I think the Thursdays got better here
Yeah.
after the move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once he moved off of that other area,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
everything went up a notch over here. You know, that other area you couldn't get too many people.
It's hard to get that check cashing crowd. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to get them
You
they
get
come out the Amscott.
That
Try to
check,
pull them
that check
Amscott
cashing
numbers.
squad or that Goodwill crew. You know, catch that Goodwill crew coming to get the Goodwill off layaway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So down here you catch a lot of the people off the Main Street. You know, catch
Yeah.
them all coming in. You know, hanging out. They all at the different restaurants and stuff like that. So
You got any comedy goals, Geno?
it might sound crazy, but ever since I got into comedy, my main goal is to make it to the spotlight. But I want to make it to the spotlight and stay in that spotlight. I want to do I want to be on the stage as long as I can. You know what I mean? I don't really want to. You know how some comedians can get real big and they transfer over and they start being actors and stuff like that. My ambition is my pride is I just want to be on the stage. You know what I mean? I just want to be on the stage. You know, and that's my biggest ambition is to go as far as God will let me go. You know, because He's the one who gave me the gift. So I love comedy, and as high as it takes me, no matter how high it takes me, I still want to be in that spotlight on the stage. You know what I mean? That's my goal.
I
That's
know you
my
know,
real
I know
goal.
what you're saying. What about you, Chris Griffin?
Want to get that half hour next.
Yeah.
Get that together. Yeah, I just, I think it's similar. Yeah, I want to just be somebody people come to see, where they're like, I want to see this show, and I think that's, Lenox is trying to make some moves up in Canada because we have a big brand up there, Yuck Yucks, good brand, but they've always put the name first, where I think the comedy game's kind of changed, at least now with social media and stuff, where you can actually, it's about the comics now, so, and they can get a following, and they can draw crowds and stuff, so, yeah, I think that'll be good. This is your 30th year, D. What's your ambitions, man? 30th year comedy.
I remember when I was torn because I was transferring out of the UW. I didn't know where I was gonna go, and then I was in this nightclub in Seattle. I used to play in the pro-ams with all these dudes. So it was Gary Payton's rookie year. So I think he came in. Yeah, this was 90. And I started 80, so it was his rookie year, I think it was. And so I was standing next to him, Derek McKee, Old and Polonies at this club called the Hollywood Underground. And I did like 5 sets. And the last one I bombed real bad. And I was like, oh man. So this coach was trying to get me to make a commitment. And then I went to the Hollywood Underground just trying to figure stuff out. Gary Payton had that fade and a big old chain. This girl came up to him. He said, this big old long thing. He said, my name is Gary Payton. I make $3 million a year. I ain't ready to get married, but I'll buy you a drink. And that girl just stood there. She didn't move.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it really bothered me because I thought, man, these dudes ain't healing cancer. They're just playing ball.
Yeah.
And I heard that voice in my head go, that's what you wanted to be, right? And then that's when I realized that I probably could be, I think I had NBA level skill set basketball wise, but in comedy I felt like I could be like you. I felt like I was a 6'8" 6th grader. If I learned how to play comedy right way, I feel like I could do it for the rest of my life. And so that's how I dedicated to. And now I'm at this place where I'm gonna do one more special, and do one more talk show, one more album, and then I really want to try to set people off. Like I really want to go into that, show people. I want to change the industry a lot. I want to be one of those dudes that do that. So that's why I'm trying to pull this Yuck Yucks deal off, because I really care about the game, because it's giving me everything, and I just don't think it's being treated very well. There's only a handful of Les Mccurdys out there. When people are doing it right, there's just very few people that is doing it right.
Yeah, it's rare when you run into it.
It's just not supposed to be like that. So I feel like I could do that from having been on both sides of the ball, on the mic, and now learning this business stuff. So that's my really big goal.
That's a good goal to have, man. That's pretty awesome.
So when you say change the game, what do you mean by when you say change the game?
So literally, for 3 years I've been trying to put together a deal to acquire the Yuck Yucks Comedy Club franchise in Canada. It's like got 15 of them. I want to try to expand those out here if I can in the States as well. But it starts in the clubs. So, you have a bunch of great clubs like this one, and then the comics will want to aspire to work here. And then you treat the comics like they got talents, and you help them nurture their talents. Most people don't know how to showcase. The reason why you see the same people at the Just for Laugh Festival in Montreal, and you see the same people getting the same talk shows, because nobody taught people how to do that. Nobody taught to teach you how to showcase. Nobody taught you how to prepare for having a real career in this thing.
Right.
So you have some lesser known clubs. Well, people know them, but they're not run very well. And so they just treat you, like minor leagues. And I feel like this is a major league industry. Like, you think what comedy has done. It's generated billions of dollars through its talent.
Billions.
And it all started in the clubs. But the clubs is just so old, and I don't care, man. Send me a picture. Or
I know.
It's
so old. Yeah.
It seemed like it's so systematic. You know what I mean?
It's an old system.
Yeah, it seemed like it's so systematic because, when I talk to a lot of the guys and they always say, oh, Geno, man, I want to get you here. I want to see you here. Let's go try this right here. You know what I mean? And then when I research it on my own, it always sounds like I said, it sounds systematic. You know what I mean? It's like, like you just said, send your resume, send your picture. Yeah. We'll get back. We'll get back with you and stuff like that. It's not like they're ambitious enough to say, okay, let me see what this kid is about, and then give you a call back and yeah, I really like what I seen. You know, I want to have you in. So it's kind of like the way you're trying to bring it to change the game. It sounds like you already know the ins and outs and the do's and the don'ts.
30 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think the big difference is that you care, like, because a lot of clubs that aren't run well, it's just because they just don't care. But then, you know, like Mccurdy's run, because Les gives a shit. Like, he actually knows the business, he cares a lot. Like,
There's too many bar managers trying to run comedy.
yeah.
Right.
There's not
Or
enough
just-
comedians trying to run comedy.
Right.
Like Les was a comedian. Like he
Right, so he knows
he
how
hit
to
the
do it.
road. Yeah, he knew he knew it from both sides. And
That's right.
right.
Yeah.
So you got to have that balance.
And
I
then you
think.
get a lot of people, like I had this dude, me and this dude was boys. We was big name dude, we was boys. And man, he shit all over me about trying to pull this deal off. He said, man, you must have lost your way, and you must not have accomplished things you want to accomplish in life that you want to do this sort of thing. And if he was around me, I would have whooped his ass, man. You know, because I know I'm better than that dude anyway, and I'm like, man, you crazy.
Right.
But there's a mentality of, you know, you have to be a starving artist or Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
And
I
there's
know.
no room for in between.
Right.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
bullshit.
Right.
You know, I mean, you could be Alex English and still make a good living. You can still be you could be a professional baseball player and make a good living. You ain't got to go to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Most people don't. But you ain't supposed to die in your car or just be in a rat ass hotel and kill yourself because it's the extremes are too feast and famine, and ain't no good business supposed to be like that.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Les has been so successful here. It's not because of, you know, what he knows and who he knows. It's who he is and who Pam is. You know.
That's right.
They're like
Good
like
looking.
family.
We're good looking.
Handsome.
It's all about the hot
Yeah,
sex,
great.
man. You know it.
All right.
Keeping you young.
Snuck up on me. I didn't hear you think that way.
But like I was saying, it's just like you feel welcome when you come. You know what I mean? It feel like you want to go out and do your best.
You know what's crazy too, man, is most marriages last about 2 minutes anyway. But for them to grind through the things they grinded through is a testament to business anyway, right?
Right.
You know, because a lot of times, you know, people's marriage fall apart and then business fall apart, and the dude don't care about his career anymore. They always think he fall in love with a 20-year-old, and then he just heartbroken by her, and but they stay together and they built something out of. It sounds corny, but when you build something out of love, it lasts a little longer than just convenience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I believe that kind of stuff.
I believe that as well. I believe that as well. I believe that.
She is fine though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We talking about my wife?
Oh, you still here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
That's all right.
That's one.
She is fine.
That's one reason they still together, right? You know.
You bet your ass. I tell you what, I say it all the time. I wake up every morning for 30 years. I wake up every morning. I look over to the other side and I go, fuck, she's still here. She had every opportunity to leave. I'm a deep sleeper. You know,
If you could wake up every morning next to a pretty one, I think it's worth waiting. You know.
Hell yeah.
If you turn over and you say, God damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might be time to get out of there. You know.
It's tough. No, I'm blessed with her.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you know, to get beautiful and smart.
Yeah.
You know, more beautiful, smarter. How the fuck did that happen to me?
Yeah.
Now, are you talking about Darryl?
Oh, man.
Oh man.
He needs work, doesn't he?
Man.
Darryl ain't taking you no more gigs.
I'm off the tour. The two guys right here are gonna jump in.
Are you married?
Me? No, man.
No, not at all.
No, but I'm in love.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm a love maker.
Well, that's good.
All right.
How old are you?
38.
What?
Just turned 38 last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's about what I would have guessed, 35-ish, something like that.
Yeah, 25.
But I mean, like, you got a girl that you live with, sort of thing, or
No.
No, you
No.
just grooving.
Yeah,
All right,
just falling in my heart.
that's good.
So you say you're in love though?
Yeah.
With this girl? Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. That's
With
good.
whoever happens to be around to be in love with.
Yeah.
You can't be with the one you love.
Cause you gotta
Why
describe love these days. Because one-nighters is some people calling that love, you know.
Well, they are nowadays.
Yeah.
On the damn Facebook.
Oh man.
They kill me. You know, here's something I noticed. I noticed it was with my daughter when she was, you know, a teenager, and I don't know if you see this with your kids, but it's like they don't want to just date. It's like they have to like, I like them, and now they're my boyfriend or they're my girlfriend. Like within a week. And I go, you don't even know that son of a bitch.
Within 2 phone conversations.
I know. And I remember I challenged Taylor, and I go, why does it have to be all or nothing? And she would be like, well, you just want me to be a whore? And I go, that's not what I call it. Whore? No, just date people. And then, you know, you don't have to be, but it's almost like there's some weird thing with the young people now that if you're just dating around, that's, you know, then you're a slut.
I think some of the older guys got that too. I had one on my job, older guy, a few years back. I don't know what bug hit him, but you know he's one of them guys that he likes to pick up chicks, and you know how they have the houses where the chicks is stationed in the houses and the guys are making money off of them. Well, he goes into one of the houses and he falls in love with a chick, just like that.
A prostitute.
I'm talking about brothel, yeah.
So listen. The story gets groovier. The story gets groovier. Listen
about whorehouse.
Hold on, listen. The story gets groovier, right? So we headed out to the route one morning, and he telling me about it. He was like, man, I think I want to take her out of the house, man. I'll give her everything that she needs. So I'm saying to myself, buddy, you in for a long run. So he hit me with the platinum card. He was like, man, I ain't scared to tell you, Geno, but I did something I don't usually do. And I said, what is that? He said, man, I like this girl so much, I went down on her. I said, oh, Jesus Christ, man. Jeez. I said, pull over. You need to get some mouthwash, you need to get everything you can, man. What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? I ain't going to say his name. But if he ever hit his podcast, he going to be like, I knew he was going to say something sooner or later. You know what I mean? And for the life of me, he was serious. He wasn't playing.
We've all met guys that go after strippers, you know, and you go out of a strip club. And go, what the fuck are you thinking? Are you out of your mind? I mean, you know.
Okay, let's cross that line. Stripper, prostitute.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
No.
Nah.
It's not the same.
What are we?
But let's get it out
You
there.
would call that guy face first.
And I'm gonna tell you,
when he told me that, I was like, oh my God.
Wants to sell their body for sex? Fine.
Right.
You know, athletes throw their bodies out there to get the shit beat out of them for money. Right. You know, I don't have a problem with it. If you're doing it because you want to do it, you know, what the hell, you know. But you know, 9 times out of 10, falling in love with a prostitute.
Oh yeah.
Not just falling in love. I'm talking about the first night. You're dropping down there with your mouth open between her legs. The first night. Oh man,
that's romantic to some dudes. That's I heard that's how you get a wife. So I think it is. That's
how marriage survives 30 years. I'm gonna tell you that.
I mean, if you're in the marriage and you're already dropping down, that's good.
Hey, man.
It's all good though. It's all good. So
I can't wait till your wife hears this, Geno.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You need to hang out with your friend more.
She gonna hear this. Well, what sparked that conversation? Yeah. I don't know. Chris did it, man.
So tonight, since we're doing the interview at the end, I'm just gonna do 10. Why don't you do 20?
Yeah, sure, man.
You go ahead and do, Darryl, what you do. I mean, 45 is fine, but if you do 50-55 like you did. But that way, we keep the interview to 20 minutes.
Okay.
And that way, they're not in here more than an hour, 40,
Gotcha.
hour 45.
I got you.
Okay.
All right.
And I ain't gonna be hanging with you guys too long. I'm probably be heading back.
So we tonight?
Yeah, nah, we doing a lot of work trying to get these boys to the nationals.
Good,
so
man.
Nice.
It's been actually this been like the first day I've been off from practicing with them and stuff like this because it's a huge stage for these young men.
Big
you know what I
opportunity.
mean? It's a great opportunity for them.
What do you figure was the bottom line of what we need to raise? We need to come up with about $3,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Some of the parents can afford to kick in some of that, and then we just end up with. So try to raise everything we can, so that if we get it all, great. If not, then we'll figure out something.
Right.
We'll get it.
But like I said, it's an awesome opportunity for these young men. For it to be our first year as a team and as a unit, for it to be our first year, and we accomplished so much. You know what I mean? I'm proud to say for these young men, out of 8 tournaments that we've been in so far, we've been in the championship 6 of those tournaments.
Wow, man.
We won 3 of them and we lost 3 of them. And then in the other 2, we made it to the semifinals and we lost. So for these guys, we look at it as more than just a team. We trying to keep these young men, from falling to the wayside. You know what I mean? Because like I said,
teaching them life success.
Right. Because
success on life sometimes.
You never know what's going on. The way these young guys are out in these streets, taking over like they living like it's no tomorrow right now in the streets.
Good blueprints.
You know what I mean?
Give them good life blueprints on the basketball court.
Right. That's what we try to. That's what myself and the other coaches, as well as my wife and stuff like that. That's what we try to instill into these boys. You know what I mean? Because you can be living on the good side of life and make a bad decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it can end up in turmoil. So we try to teach them, the decisions that they make. You know what I mean? I know that you're good on the court, but can you be that same way off the court?
Right.
Because it's younger guys looking up at you guys and saying, oh man, so they want to be just like you. So how are you going to lead them? So it's been very awesome experience, not only for them but for me as well.
I can imagine. Man. I can imagine.
I want to publicly thank Pam and Les because they helped us out They helped us out so much.
Yeah.
That it's not even funny. Once I told him about it, and he seen the blueprint and stuff like that, he was like, whatever you need, I'm there for you. So it's been an awesome ride. It's been very experiencing, and I'm gonna tell you about one instance.
Hold on, where Griffin at?
Right here, man.
Man, Ron done grab me a beer in the shop.
Yeah, I got a beer for you here.
Oh, do you?
One instance I want to tell you about when I said it got a good and a bad. Two of the guys on my team, 2 of the young men on my team, they play for this high school, and that's what it is. We got like a bunch of different guys from different high schools, but 2 of the guys that play on my team, they're from this high school, and they had a tragic experience where a senior on their basketball team, one of the leaders on their basketball team, hanging out with his friends one night right here in Sarasota, hanging out with his friends one night in the car. One of the guys decides, I want to bring a gun along, and they're hanging out, they're having fun, it's late night, they're hanging with the girls. The gun goes off in the back of the car, shoots the athlete in the back of the head and kills him. And this guy had looks from all different types of colleges where he was gonna do something with his life, you know what I mean? And in an instant like that, his life got snuffed out. And at the same time that his life got snuffed out, we was in the middle of a tournament. We was in the middle of a 3-day tournament, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he lost his life on that Saturday. So that Sunday when we was coming back to play the championship game. So I knew those 2 boys of mine, their heads wasn't going to be there. You know what I mean? And then like the other boys that's on my team, they knew this kid as well from different schools. So when you're an athlete, athletes respect other athletes. You know what I mean? So it was an experience for me to get them together and tell them, look, You know, I had to sit down and talk to them before the championship game. Look, these are the things that I'm trying to show you guys. You know what I mean? These are the perfect examples that I want you guys to see. You know what I mean? A split decision can change everything in your life. You know what I mean? I said, we have to use this experience to better ourselves. Was he doing something wrong? No, he wasn't doing nothing wrong. But at the same time, you gotta always know who you're around sometimes. You know what I mean? Because if you're hanging out and you're having fun, there was no need for that gun. You know what I mean? Because these was all high school boys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Y'all do.
And then he lost his life, and I had to not only console those two boys of mine, I had to console the whole team, and we rallied together, and we felt like, okay, let's do this for Manatee County, because we lost two boys, the one that died and the one that had the gun.
Right.
You know what I mean? And both of them was going to school at that time. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to give back to the kids. You know what I mean? I want to give back. I want to be more than a coach to them. You know what I mean? Because just like you say, you see it in comedy. I see that in coaching right now with the AAU. I see a lot of these AAU coaches right now. They're just in it for the money. You know what I mean? They really not thinking about the kids no more. You know what I mean? It's not about mentoring the kids or making sure the kids, you know what I mean, good. They're more concerned with how their program looks in the spotlight. You know what I mean? And then our direction is, you know, our team is Manatee Legacy, and legacy for us stands for let's educate, guide, and change our youth. You know what I mean? So I want boys to be more aware of what's going on around them as young men. I think that's where we losing focus at with our young men. We're not teaching our young men to be aware of what's going on around them. You know what I mean? They just riding through life doing whatever everybody else do. But if we can teach them to be aware of what's going on around them, they can see that life is about working hard for what you want. Life is about being respectable. Life is about, you know, having something in life. You know what I mean? And working hard to get it. You know, you understand where I'm coming from?
Of course I do.
So that's why that's the direction that I'm teaching my boys. And as we've been going through that with them through this season, it has made these boys stronger. You know what I mean? They bond as like family, like brothers. You know what I mean? So that's why we've been so successful in our first season as a AAU organization. You know, I've been coaching in rec leagues and stuff like this, but this was my first time stepping out in an AAU organization. And it's been very successful on that point of being more than a coach, being more than an organization, being like a family, a mentor to these young men, you know, because they could be anywhere, you know what I mean? And that's how we losing our young men. So it's more to me than about coaching. It's about life right now. Teaching these guys about life.
When I asked you what the goals was in comedy, I've always been a goal-driven dude. It sounds like you're saying the same things. I think you have to be incredibly vivid and specific in your goals to keep you moving forward in that direction. Because, you know, when I was balling, it was just to get there, just to know that I could play in the NBA, and then I proved that I could by playing against a bunch of dudes that I could ball with, and then played pro-ams I could ball with, and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't have enough specific goals to get me further through the little stuff, you know, the little stuff that you have to get through, the day-to-day stuff. I didn't have enough specific goals. Now in comedy, I do, and so because we have these tragedies in life all the time anyway. But it's the people that really have very specific goals, what they want to be in life. Say Barack wanted to become president. All along your way, you have to make decisions that will never interrupt or get in the way of damaging that goal. Right?
Right, that's correct. I see where you're coming from.
And so if you teach people how to get to the core of who they are. Hey, man, what is it? Ideally, what would you love to be more than anything? What would you love to do? You attach that goal to it, and then when you ask this question, hey, man, when you go out tonight, remember who you want to be and who you're going to be. And if anything comes close to jeopardizing it, you know you ain't supposed to be there.
Right. That's a very good scenario.
You gotta protect it.
Huh?
You gotta protect your goal.
You gotta protect the goal.
Yeah.
You gotta protect it.
That's very good scenario. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that right there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I take that's something very deep that, you know what I mean, to incorporate to these young men. You know what I mean? Because it's very truthful. You know, it's very truthful because just like you said, you use Barack. If there's anything that can disrespect or take him off the path that he's headed in as that president, then it's the wrong direction.
That's right. You'll know right away. Does this align with what I'm trying to be? I learned all this stuff is when I was kind of in between. I knew I was good and I'd gotten some stuff, but I was like, man, I don't think Jamie or Chris Rock, to me, those dudes are just peers. This is the year when Chris was hosting and Jamie was being nominated for Ray. And I was in this rad-ass condo in Milwaukee. Love the club. And I'm watching this Oscar stuff, and I was like, what do they have that I don't have? And I knew Chris loved his wife at the time. I met her. And then Jamie had his daughter. So they had a standard of love that they just were not going to go below that. So you're living for somebody else other than yourself. And then I was like, okay, so I fell in love. I made this lady fall in love, and that was the best thing I ever had in my life, this wife for 10 years. And that raised my standards to, I couldn't be scared to take a chance on shooting my own special and paying for it. Because I got this woman looking at me like, hey man, you the one with the dreams. You say you could do this, so I couldn't be scared. And then I learned from watching Hall of Fame speeches from all sports. And you realize it's a great learning tool. Watch all people become incredibly successful at their thing and watch how they give gratitude in those speeches. And all of them say the same things. I never gave up. It was incredibly difficult, but I knew this is where I wanted to be. And that's where you set those standards and go, you Hall of Fame? Is that a Hall of Fame decision or not a Hall of Fame decision?
Right.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you?
It makes total sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
If it's a Hall of Fame decision, then you work like a Hall of Famer. And that doesn't mean just work out all the time. It means don't do dumb things that will prevent you from being in the Hall of Fame. You don't get to carry a gun and be in the Hall of Fame. Right?
You're right.
That's Gilbert Arenas. That guy had Hall of Fame skills. Carried a gun. He ain't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he didn't have Hall of Fame decisions.
Made
like
that one wrong decision.
One wrong decision.
Made that one wrong decision.
That would have saved them biases in life. There would have been so many people's lives would change if they just understood between Hall of Fame and not. Barack or not, Hall of Fame or not. Like I think about this stuff all the time.
And it's something that just hearing you from that perspective, it's something that I'm gonna start carrying in the back of my mind. You know what I mean? Probably for the rest of my life because, I try to live by that perspective, but I never actually heard it the way you put it. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I always heard it as, I always looked at it as, Geno, if you do this right here, where this gonna get you at? You know what I mean? What's gonna be the outcome for this? What's gonna be both sides of that? You know what I mean? But the perspective that you put it in, add more to that and say, will this hurt you in the future trying to be this?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, a lot of times we've grown up with heaven or hell decisions, but you don't really know what heaven looks or feels. You can hear what people say or read about, but you don't know. And so I was like, all right, well, what does heaven on earth look like? That's a phrase. So I figured out, well, I could see that Michael Jordan, even when his father got killed, he handled like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He handled like a Hall of Fame. He cried. He got to crown that trophy on his father's on the Father's Day when he won. He made some bad decisions, but none of them affected his ability to continue to be who he is. Tiger Woods, when he made them very non-Hall of Fame decisions, it looked like that, didn't it? It looked like, oh, fool, because his daddy died and he was in a lot of pain, started boning everything that moved. But now, where's his mind at? back in Hall of Fame decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's to me that's water. That's breathe. I breathe that.
Undeniable. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know if you're being like too ambitious?
I don't know what that means.
All right. Well, there you go.
I don't think it's a such thing as too ambitious.
Or unrealistic, maybe. Is that?
You know what I mean?
Again, that's how you get to the moon. That's how you become Starbucks. That's how you become.
Right.
I've shook the hand of 4 billionaires, and I was like, wow. I met Howard Schultz before he even created. He was in the process of starting Starbucks.
Damn.
And I met these people, and everybody says the same thing, dude. You just cannot give up.
Right.
And you know you're making headway when people start getting uncomfortable with your progress or your ambition.
Okay.
Right.
That's
And
what
then-
makes you uncomfortable. Yeah.
And then at the same time, like you said, how do you know, even when you're saying it's unrealistic, unrealistic is why those guys got those Starbucks. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because they did things that was unrealistic. You know what I mean? And they stuck with it. You know what I mean? So like I said, it's really no bad thing to saying too ambitious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if it's meant, if you had a drive to go out and get it, and you want it, just go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll know what's right for you and what's not right for you. You know what I mean? Things that come in your path, or things that walk in your path when you're traveling alone. At some point, you'll get that feeling of, is this a good woman for me?
Right.
If not, you know what I mean? Is this a good friend for me? You know what I mean? You'll have that feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, never say too ambitious. Just go after it.
When I teach, one of the things I ask them after they listen to them talk about, I go, hey man, okay, so what's the ideal situation goal? Because I want to pin that goal on the wall. No matter what people think, people are scared to say what those things really are. People are scared to say, I want to be as big as Eddie Murphy. You know who wasn't scared to say that? Kevin Hart's like, I want to be bigger than Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy says, I want to be big as Elvis.
Yeah.
When I'm just like, I want to be the greatest of all time. Like, if you can't be afraid of how people act, even though it sounds crazy. Like, people have been shitting on me for 3 years trying to do this day going, because they're talking crazy, just friends turn their back, and people get, but I know in my heart and my soul that I'm going to get there, and then and I know, all right, it's because it's for the greater good.
Does that motivate you more?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course it does.
Yeah.
And you know what? All you gotta do is go and look out in the annals of history and see that everybody's ever done incredible things
Had haters.
have had more naysayers than they had positive people in their lives.
Oh yeah.
That's very true. Yeah.
Every single one of them. Israel become Israel. There's only only 4 of them mugs made it, right?
Yeah.
Listen,
Damn.
there's always gonna be more people that are gonna be against you than are for you when you have big ambitions and big goals. But that goal should be your purpose and your dream, and that will get you through every single thing.
Because it's just like he said. It's going to be, I mean, and sometimes I hate to say it, it's going to be people that's close to you that's against you.
That's going to hurt you the most.
You know what I mean?
gonna be more of them than anybody.
It's going to be people that's close to you that's against you. And
Yeah.
you're not going to know it. You're not going to know it until you continue on your path, your
Yeah.
direction. You know
And
what I
the
mean?
important
And
thing, and the important thing is not to be mad at them because
No.
they scared.
Yeah.
They scared, that they not trying something that big, and they're more comfortable keeping you where you are.
Yeah, they're insecure about their own
It's crab bucket.
pathway.
They crab bucket, but
Yeah.
that don't mean that's a negative quality that they have. They just afraid.
Right.
And those will be the same people when you get up there. They will never let you leave that spot. They will be the first one to say, hey man, don't mess this up.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And the ones that's for real that doubted you will say, man, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. Those become your biggest fans.
And Darryl said one of the key things, and I say it's key because even though you might have those naysayers, there's no need in being upset with them. It's just life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like he said. It's just it's how it is. That's human nature.
And you need them. Like,
Right.
you need them. Otherwise, everything will be perfect.
Yeah, that doesn't make no sense.
Right.
Yeah. Shit.
Because even at times with this AAU team this season, even at times I've been like, even when I was trying to put everything together, the paperwork, the ins and outs of the legitness of it, just being able to cross over from that rec league coach to a travel coach, you know what I mean, with
Yeah.
his own with my own organization, me and my wife, it was like so many times I said to myself, man, this too stressful, you know what I mean, this too much. But when I slept on it and I got up the next day, I came home from work, I got right back at it. And then once I seen my vision coming in and it actually started happening, started flourishing, even some of the coaches that I used to coach with at the rec league, they was like, you know, I always felt like you can do something like this. He said, but I never thought you would do it. You know what I mean? But it's not because they didn't think I was capable of doing it. They didn't think I had the ambition to do it. And just like he said, it's because of something that they're not doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can't be mad. You can't dislike them. You just, I feel more on just keep going. You know what I mean? Because God gonna bless you. If it's meant for you, God gonna bless you in some kind of way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Tell
So
you
you
a quick
just keep
analogy
going.
too. So now that I use, and then I'm gonna ask you a question. Actually, let me ask you this question first, and I want to tell you this analogy. So, how much do shoes cost now?
You want me to speak from my 16-year-old point of view?
Yeah.
His average shoes right now can range anywhere between 120 to 150.
All right.
Jeez.
And point guard. How many you got on the team?
We have 10.
And you know who your 10th man is?
Yes.
You know who your 10th man is?
Yes, sir.
All right. So before we leave, either not tonight or this week, I'm gonna buy you a point guard and your 10th man a pair of shoes. And I want you to tell that team there's no difference between the number 1 and the number 10.
Wow. That's sweet, man. That's sweet. That's sweet because that's how they treat him. You know what I mean? Even though he's coming along,
The 10.
they help him. You know what I mean? They don't look down on him. You know, wherever his weakness is at, they help him. You know what I mean? When he comes on the court, they don't shy away from him and not give him the ball. You know what I mean? They throw the ball to him. They encourage him to shoot and stuff like that. And from the beginning of the season until right now, he's probably if he was at 30 in the beginning, he came all the way up to 80 because of how the team encourages him. You know what I mean? Because that same thing that you just asked me about who's the number 1 and who's the number 10, I tell them that all of them are equal because you can't get to where you are without him. You know what I mean? Even if he gets a rebound and kick the rebound out to you and you hit the winning shot, he had to get that rebound to kick it out to you. You know what I mean? So, man,
those are generally where your leaders are, the number 1 and number 10.
If you do that, Darryl, man, I promise you, man, them boys will be so ecstatic about that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
they will be so grateful about that.
I didn't say it I didn't say it unless I meant it. So
yeah, they'll be so grateful for that. You know,
good.
it's just, and it's it goes back to no matter how successful you are, you know what I mean, you never forget about where you came from. You know what I mean? Because there's always a person on the bottom somewhere. You know what I mean? In your industry, there's always somebody on the bottom. You know what I mean? You can have the owner and you can have the janitor. The janitor is just important as the owner.
Yep.
Because
That's what great companies are.
Right.
The leader will treat every man on the team like special.
Right.
So number 1, number 10, and that number 10 at some point would probably end up becoming a great leader anyway, because moments like this, his AAU moment, he's gonna get some shoes out of it, and then your number 1 is gonna learn that he's gonna learn how to be a leader by treating number 10 as important.
Right.
And you're gonna give them a message that, hey, you number 1, this is number 10, but there's no difference. Y'all both got gifted this thing because you're peers and you're equals, right?
Right.
So
that's the main thing I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna say this is a gift to you guys from Darryl, because he wants you guys to know number 1 is no different from number 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's how it's supposed to be. That's a team.
That's right.
That's a team.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because you can't look at number 10 different.
Nope.
Because if you look at him different when he steps on the court, you're gonna treat him different.
And he'll sue you eventually too. There'll be a lawsuit involved. You start treating him different,
And your number 10s are the ones that usually end up becoming presidents and billionaires or anything.
Well, the thing is, right?
That's right.
No, we have a feeling that at the game-winning shot, the guy or the player that's going to score the key moments of the game, you always think is going to be the star. But lots of times it is the number 10 guy that gets hot that night.
Yeah.
Last night we were watching the Stanley Cup, and St. Louis beat Boston in Boston, and I don't think anybody thought they were going to do that.
I did.
And I'll tell you, that goalie for St. Louis, rookie goalie, was unbelievable last night. He was the man.
I think I seen on SportsCenter it said the most unlikely guy in the game that you think would be in the game and make a difference in the game is the one that won the game.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was like, wow.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, wow.
And that's the thing. Every once in a while, that number 10 person steps up, just gets in a groove. And a lot of times, don't you think it's the confidence that he or she gets from the whole team?
That's right.
The whole team, all of a sudden, he
That's
just
right.
feels it or she feels it.
That's right.
And boom,
They're
does something
happy.
that they've never done before.
They're happy
Right.
they're in there.
Yeah.
Let me get this analogy in real fast, and one of you are going to have to walk me to the bathroom. So,
All right.
Les, you wasn't around. You was on stage killing it as you do.
All right.
I never seen this such a short set, though. Is something wrong with you?
Do what?
I never seen do such a short set. That was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It takes discipline. There's no one more disciplined than me. Discipline is my middle name.
So I was talking we all talking here, and about the more vivid, specific goals you all have, the more successful you could become.
Yes.
And there's Hall of Fame decisions, not Hall of Fame decisions. Barack had put some positions that he could never deviate him from those goals before he became president.
Right.
Right. Okay. So I have this analogy. I don't know if you guys ever went to Disneyland, Disney World. When I was a kid, I'll never forget this. They had those little cars.
Yeah.
And they had a little track on them.
Yep.
And it only went so fast.
Yes.
You couldn't turn right, couldn't turn left. You
Nope.
could only go so fast.
Right.
All you could do is just drive that thing.
Right.
And you thought you were really doing something.
Yes.
I remember being a kid, I was trying to race people. We all going the same speed.
Yes.
And you couldn't turn left because.
Yeah.
So what I really believe life is, how I try to live my life is, I've designed that track, and now my car is going that way, regardless of all the outcomes in front of me. Even if I step on the gas, when I step back on the gas, I'm still going that direction that I
agree.
designed that track to be.
I agree. We were talking today about instincts and intuition.
Yep.
And I believe personally, that every person has that track that is best for them.
That's right.
And it is our job in life to find it. And how do you know you're on it? Generally, you feel really good about what's going on in your life
That's right.
when you're on the track.
Right.
And every once in a while, we all deviate off that track every now and then.
Immediately.
And you know
it's
it,
the
and
wrong
you'll
place
go,
to be.
you'll go off. But you know, you learn things when you go off the track that I think help you when you get back on the track. But we were saying it last night. That old saying, the famous saying from Winston Churchill during World War II. He told the troops, when you're going through hell, when you find yourself going through hell, keep going. You know, and that's it. You some people get off track and they just lay in it. They just quit. You know, and boy, what an awful. And we've all seen it. We've all seen it more than once.
We've seen people who have become accustomed. People that have experienced a lot of pain end up chasing pain.
Yes.
So if you give them a positive track and they go, this doesn't hurt, it feels uncomfortable because it doesn't hurt, they're going to veer back towards that pain thing.
That's right. And those people need therapy.
Those people usually don't last a long time.
They don't. Yeah, we need to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Okay. And I know people are going, why do we need to go to the bathroom? Right?
Well, this is a full-service comedy club.
It is. All right, y'all can keep yakking or not or whatever.
I gotta holler at Bronwyn for a minute. She's gonna set up something. For
I'll chat with you soon.
All right.
And
we'll pause it for a little.
You know, and I think that, and I'll talk to you here about first of next week.
All right.
And we'll get on track. I'm gonna make some calls and stuff, and we'll raise as much as we can. If we have a downside, we'll figure it out.
We'll be back
In the green room.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But I was saying that you know, I haven't really had a great chance to just sit and chat with you at your background, you know, kind of. I mean, you grew up. Did you grow up in Vancouver?
No, I grew up in a city, Calgary, which is just above.
Yeah.
Montana, kind of. It's like Canada's Texas kind of thing with oil.
It's a rodeo.
Yeah.
Calgary
it is.
got
The
a big,
Stampede,
huge rodeo there or something.
Yeah, but I grew up in like the kind of the rough part of town, which I make fun of a lot.
There's a rougher part of the town than the rodeo part.
That's the good part. We don't. Yeah, but no, it was fun, man. But yeah, I don't know. I always joke. Yeah, I was like there was like 7 white guys in my school, kind of thing.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, then it was so everyone would. I mean, it was all different races, which was really cool. But everyone would always make fun of me for that.
You don't think about. I mean, I know when I moved to Colorado for a little while, right out of college, and lived Denver, Boulder area, and coming from Memphis at the time, and I was like, you know, the diversity difference was. I go, we're not finding. There's not many African American people here. More Latin, but and so. You think you get up in areas like Montana and stuff like that there would be very little racial diversity up there. Is there?
Yeah, there's a lot of not necessarily black, but a lot of Asian, a lot of like just all different. It's weird. Like usually a population from a different country will kind of pick a city. It's usually around a church or something, and then they'll like go there. So it was a lot of Filipinos, Vietnamese, like. Indian people, just a whole mix, but cool. it was fun. But then always growing up, I was like, oh man, I just wish I was anything but white because it was the one thing they all had in common with me. And then I got into the greater world, and I was like, oh, thank God I'm white.
Oh, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, but if you look, all my old high school pictures, it's just me, and then but no, it's good. And then I worked really hard when my whole full time on night shift and paid for my whole education.
What was your night shift job?
I worked for newspaper plants, and then I'd run I didn't know anything when I started there. I was like 18, because I worked Dairy Queen 15 to 18, and then worked full time night shift. And I don't know, just ran all the equipment, but it was hilarious because I was like a 130-pound, 18-year-old zitty kid, and then they made me a boss in like my 3rd month, and I was just in charge of crazy, like people would just always, they can't come into work because they're in jail like that, like they're working night shifts. So it was I don't even know how I did it. And then I went to university during the day, got a couple of degrees, bought a house, I bought a condo when I was 19, and then
wow,
sold that because I just
what
worked.
degrees did you get?
I did English and political science because I was going to go into law.
So you put yourself through college?
Yeah. It's not as expensive up there, but it was still like pretty rough. Didn't do any loans or anything like that.
Right.
And then bought a house when I was 24, and then yeah, I didn't end up going to law school because I was like, I don't know if it just seemed too boring kind of thing, like too much of a grind. And then I was just, 26 years old, graduated, living in suburbia, and then I was like, this is what, because I didn't party when I was young, or I didn't, I was just working so much, and then I was like, this can't be life. And then I kind of just, started making moves and doing a bunch of creative stuff. And there's a guy named Tucker Max that wrote this book, I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, and I went on tour. We made a movie out of it, so I went on tour with him around the whole United States. Like, we premiered it.
What was the movie?
It's called I Hope There's Beer in Hell. It didn't do that well. But it's kind of like a guy who was just an asshole, like college type movie.
Yeah.
But he had a book of stories, and but it was just insane because every place we'd go to, it'd be sold out. 400 or 500 people would show up to watch, and then after it would always be a big party. And I was like, man, this is the life I kind of missed out on. And I kind of started becoming like a mini, write about me and stuff, and people would be like, oh, I want to meet the Canadian, because I was the only Canadian guy.
Right.
And then that tour ended. Movie didn't do that well. And I just was back in Canada being a nobody, and I was like, man, this is really boring. And I was a decent writer, and then I finally tried comedy. I knew a lady that ran the club, and I'm like, how do you do it? She's like, you just do it. Like, and then I went to a mic, did it, and I was like, this is the best thing in the world. Just like quit my job. And even when I quit, I was like, I'm gonna go do this,
because Mike's kind of in that right now.
Are you, man?
You're like a year
and some change.
Into it, you know. So he's there.
That's an exciting time to do it. I sold my house. Like, I went all in, I think. And then when I was about a year, and I won at Calgary's, they had a big competition for the it's a great Canadian laugh-off. So like 15 clubs across the country have their own local one, and then the finalists all go to compete in Toronto. So I won that, just the Calgary version.
Nice.
And people were like, oh man, who's it? It was all headliners and me. So then that was kind of like, I was like, oh, I could do this. Like, this is fun. And and just went on from there. I've just been grinding ever since. But lost all my money. But now I'm doing all right again.
Do you work more in Canada or in the United States?
In Canada, usually the States. I just like Darryl, since very early on was, I would run the workshops at the comedy club, and we'd so before the show on Wednesdays, I would bring whoever's headlining that weekend would come and do a Q&A for all the comics, and then we'd do like an open mic after. And he just came in and did such a, I felt like soulful, meaningful talk where I was like, oh, this guy's actually giving like life advice and kind of framing comedy, and just loves it in the same way I love it. So then, we ended up going on the road, and now we live in the same city. But he's been a massive influence, Darryl, on me. And
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's the best.
He really is.
Yeah,
he really is.
Got me in like the San Fran, or took me to Seattle, and then on a showcase, and I got into San Fran. And
is it hard? Is it hard now? Because I used to work a little bit in Canada. I worked a club in Windsor, right across from Toronto. Toronto, a guy named Leo Dufour had the Comedy Corner there. I used to go up and work it every year for about 10 years, and this was in really the 90s, maybe late 80s and into the 90s.
Yeah.
And then I worked a little club in Montreal a couple of times.
Oh, right on.
But there was no hassle going over back then because it was pre 9/11.
Yeah.
So is it a big deal to come over here and get a work visa or any of that kind of crap?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's pretty tough, man. And then I think like even lately it's got even more extreme with like the border stuff and kind of.
Oh yeah, right.
Like
you don't want them crazy bastards coming through Canada.
Like
the Canadian horde.
So usually getting the green card it's such a big step, but most people, you start the process when you're kind of like, I'm 9 years into comedy now, so that 10-year mark, you really start the process for the green, and it costs like 15 grand, usually 15 to 20 grand, and then it takes like 3-4 years. But I have a lot of friends.
Right.
Dave Merhaj is a really good friend of mine in Canada, and he just when I started comedy, he would take me on the road as similar to Lennox, and he was about 10 years in, so it's really cool to kind of watch his progression. Because we're the same age, like he'd been doing comedy since he was 18.
Right.
But he just got that green card, and then he got a Netflix special, and then he.
So are you working on your green card?
Yeah, I haven't started, so I just do the visa now, and then I'm like, okay, next step, green card,
Right.
But I work a day job, and they were like, oh, we might need you to move to Boston, and I was like, oh, that might just be easier to do the visa through them, probably. Like, and then there's one you can get where you're allowed to do other stuff, and then start the green card process through them, which would be a lot quicker, and they would sponsor it. So I don't know. But then if I don't move, I'm not sure, because then I'll kind of be tied to them. I'm not sure if I want that. So yeah. But I definitely
Boston's pretty good comedy scene.
Yeah. So,
I like it. I go up there There's a guy named Jim McCurdy.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Great guy if you get a chance to meet him. And he runs the Boston Comedy Competition.
I think he's also
up
good
there.
friends with Darryl.
And Darryl, I think, knows him.
Yeah.
And so we go up there. We go up there as much as I can, depending on when he scheduled it, and be a judge for their competition.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And now I'm on the board.
Oh.
I didn't know that till last year.
Yeah.
I opened up a thing and I went, oh, fuck, I'm on the advisory board. How'd that happen? He goes, because I call you and ask you questions.
Oh, that's.
I said, all right, that's cool, all right. But we really enjoy Boston a lot, you know. I just think for comedy, to me, you know, for stand-up, I mean, if I was really going to go to try to be a major celebrity, and I was looking at whether to go to the New York area or L.A.,
right.
I would go New York all day long.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it is. I've heard that it's now starting to open up a little bit more. For so many years, Boston comics didn't come to New York. New York comics didn't go to Boston. And it's a 2-hour train ride.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's nothing. And I was like, why don't they, you know, and there was just some weird thing. You know, I go, y'all hate each other's baseball teams that bad that you won't even come work?
I think that's it.
I mean, it's crazy, you know? And, but I think that's starting to open up more because I go, boy, right in that area, you've got so much comedy and great comedy, you know, and people that are just really into the art form.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
in a
amazing.
big
Yeah,
way.
I think because it's
Major.
comedy. Yeah, LA is like you go to make it, but and I mean the store and all the other amazing places, but it's just it's like in the blood in the Northeast. Like it's like this is the, like you said, the art form.
I think it's just I don't know. It just seems like Los Angeles is, you know, it's like from talking to the comics that are out there that go, it's like, well, unless on the weekends, if you're not an established
like a
celebrity,
person,
you know, you ain't getting a fucking set, you know, or you might, you know, fluke into one here or there. And so if you're doing really well, you're getting good spots on a Wednesday, Thursday night, but there's 30 people sitting in the audience.
Yeah.
You're playing to the comics, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And it's like, I know one guy was telling me, he said, I don't know how comics develop out there anymore.
They can't really, and
You
even
know?
I had a few
Where you
friends
go
who
in
were-
New York, you
like 3-4 sets
in
a
Manhattan itself, what you got 10 clubs,
Yeah.
good crowds, and you know, I mean, you know, but
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, I had 3 or 4, you know, Canadian guys, massive headliners up there, then moved to LA, and just even my friend Dave I was just talking about moved out there, had a lot of hype, came in, and just you know, getting 4 sets a week, trying his hard, hustling.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and then he was just, you know, he kind of seemed depressed, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then he moved back to New York, and it was like, boom, Netflix special, TV show, and
it's like the industry. I've seen it kind of bounce over the 35 years I've been around it,
Right.
And you know, it was like New York was it, and then LA became it because everybody started. Then was when the industry started to take stand-ups and form sitcoms around them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then stand-up started to get to levels where they were able to be feature film stars.
Right.
And so then LA became the place, you know, more and more. It's like, you know, you start in New York to get to LA. And now I think it's moved back to New York to
Right.
me. You know, it's I don't know. I just think it's a better atmosphere. But
Do they still do like development deals and stuff like that?
oh yeah. Oh
So,
yeah. But I know people that have had multiple development deals and nothing ever
It's really
came from. They made some money, and
Yeah.
you know, it's a great when you get one. It's flattering and it's
Yeah.
really cool, and they hand you some money. But you know, I mean, if you don't get the sitcom, you know, a lot of people don't realize how many sitcoms pilots are filmed every year.
Right.
Oh,
and
God.
just nothing.
Like
yeah.
a ton of them,
Yeah.
and only just such a small percentage ever make it to air.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, or even if you look at like John Mulaney was like, you know, he's one of the best I would say doing
Yes.
it now, and he got that sitcom. That Martin Short, you're like, there's no way this can fail, and it was just bad. Like, it was
Oh
just,
yeah,
it was just
yeah.
not- and
Well,
that-
I mean, there was a comic that I knew, Drew Hastings, who's finally just had enough. And I've heard this story before, but I mean, Drew, I think Drew told me he shot 5 or 6 pilots.
Yeah.
And had maybe 3 development deals. And I mean, these were pilots with stars, like you're talking about, with like a Martin Short in it, with and he had a major role. And you can imagine, you know, you get the sitcom, you get it, and you got a part. I mean, a regular, reoccurring role. You're in it, and the star of it is a star.
Yeah.
I mean, a box office fucking killer star, and you're just. I mean, you're ready to sign the check for your home in Beverly Hills and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And then the fucker doesn't even make it to the season. It doesn't even make it. And once they can one, it's canned. It ain't like, oh, we'll revisit this
we'll try it
next
again
year.
later.
It's just
no,
done.
it's done. It's done. And then I know in Drew's case, he's like, after about the 5th time, he goes, you know, you get kicked in the gut that many times. He goes, I just had enough. I couldn't take it anymore, you know. It's just crazy.
It's brutal. Even that the movie I was talking about with the Tucker Max thing, where they gave. I mean, I was just on the sidelines kind of thing involved, edited some websites and stuff for him. But then when that took off and I watched him go for the script, people paid the guys that made Donnie Darko Entertainment, changed, but then the studio that did Get Out as well. So they put millions into it. We did the tour. It seemed super successful. Came out in theaters and just tanked. It was just, and then it's just like the first weekend, and then the second weekend they're like, okay, we're gonna pull it, and then it's just done. All that work, all that stuff, and they're like, it's nothing. Like it, yeah. And then
Did it come out the same week as like a Marvel movie or something like that?
The mistake they made, which is really weird, is they when we did the tour, we premiered it near college towns. And so when they picked the theaters, they did a nationwide distribution. They went around college towns. So the Friday numbers were okay, and then Saturday was 0 because everyone goes to football. Like it was the town shuts down. So it was such a There's a lot of mistakes, like just rookie mistakes,
marketing mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, but then when it's gone, it's just like, okay, that's it, all done. The stars like wash their hands for a minute. It's like, okay, this never existed.
Next project, basically.
Yeah. But it was really kind of just seeing that shift. You're like, okay, because if it had gone well, we were gonna go make another one. I was gonna move to LA. We were gonna open a publishing company. We had all these stuff lined up, and then it was just nothing. Yeah.
You know, one of the things I'll ask Darryl when we do our video interview thing here. I'm always curious, you know, because when we get into, you know, you get into an art. I think when you get into any performance art and you find that you've got a gift for it, you know, and then you actually get to the point where you're actually making a living. Yeah. Just that, not anything else. It's hard to imagine you're ever going to do anything else. Right. Once you're there, it's like it just. Yeah.
Why would you? Yeah.
Exactly. And so so say that stand-up comedy was something that was out there, but it wasn't a viable living. You just nobody made a viable living off of that. You know, so not that you still wouldn't do that, but you needed to do something else to make your living. What would you have filtered into? Do you think is there something else that you think, if I couldn't have done this, I'd have gone in that direction?
Yeah, the one thing I was doing before, and then, I mean, I don't know if this is the right answer, but it was writing, and then I got pretty decent at that. Started getting some stuff published. I did it for about 4 years, and I worked hard. Like I would work into the night, like 8-10 hours just writing, and then finally. But it was very lonely, and I'd kind of, submit it. Someone would get published. Maybe you'd get somebody would look you up, give you an email, and be like, "Hey, great," but you don't know if it's good.
Right.
And I'd put stuff on the internet, and then people would be like, "Fuck you." But then, which I thought was hilarious. So then I would just agree with them. I'd be like, "You're right, man. I'm the worst." And then I kind of became known for that. Or then because they'd switch and be like, "Oh, you know what, man? I was having a bad day," and then become your rabid fan. It was nuts. But I loved writing, but there was no feedback, and then the first time I did comedy, I was like, "This is incredible."
It's immediate feedback.
Yeah, and it's like thing. If it's good or not. And I mean, it can be brutal sometimes if it's not going well, but it was just.
I think when I think about that, as you go, writing kind of falls into that same. I mean, basically, as stand-up comedy, in that you're an entrepreneur,
right?
You're starting your own business is what you're doing. You know, you're not developing a career that is based on there's a solid paycheck on this one. You know what I mean? I think if I didn't do comedy and I filtered somewhere else that I would have enjoyed, I think it would have been teaching. And on a college level,
right,
on a university level. I don't think.
What would you teach though? What would you want to teach?
Well, since I graduated with a drama degree, I would have gone in that direction.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You kind of are weirdly a teacher, sort of. To the young comics here.
Oh, sure. I enjoy teaching.
Yeah. I love what you did though, where you took. We were talking about that before when you weren't here. That you took comedy and then and put your passion and made it a business. Like you made it a viable. That's amazing. And then it's just so incredible how the club is compared.
Well,
to,
it was all happenstance too, because really you're when we talked about earlier and you were on stage that we Darryl was talking about that that he believes that there's a track that is your track,
right,
and your job is to figure out how to stay on it, and you can. And while you're on it, you can be yourself and go on a lot, but you need to stay on that track.
Yeah.
And I said in that same light, I believe that everybody has a path that's best for them, And you could come off, you'll go off of it sometimes.
Yeah.
But when you're on it, it's like, how do you know when you're on the right track, when you're
Right.
on the right path? And I go, instinctually, you feel better.
Yeah.
You do. You feel in balance. You feel you feel good about everything. As far as that goes. And that's the way this was for me. But when I met Pam, and we decided we decided we were going to get married. When Pam said she would marry me,
right,
and I looked at her and went, I had to, and it's wild that I had to ponder it for 24 hours even.
Yeah.
But you're going, here is this woman that is gorgeous. She's a wonderful person. She's honorable. She's honest. She's smart as a whip. She's creative. I mean, you just couldn't have drawn it up any better. And she could have been a Playboy bunny. You know? And you're like, well, what the fuck are you waiting on? I mean, when is this going to come up for you? When has it come up for you in the past? Let's think of how many times this laid in your lap. And they actually said they loved you and wanted to marry you. And so at that point, I knew that the best path for me was I wanted to stay in stand-up comedy, but I wasn't going to do anything that was going to fuck up my relationship with her. There's a lot of ways to be an expressive artist. Maybe I don't get to make all my money doing this. Maybe I have to adjust that to keep my relationship healthy. Because as a stand-up comic, tour. Yeah. Well, I go, what fucks up most marriages?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Touring.
Yeah.
When you're away from home more than you're at home, even if it's half and half, even if you're out 25 weeks and home 25 weeks, it's a setup that somewhere down the line, shit's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had to be home somewhere. And we talked about that.
Yeah.
We also talked about, are we family first people or are we career first people? And there's not a wrong answer there.
Yeah, right.
But if you're career first, and at the time you got to take into consideration, she was career too. Master's degree in theater. Was a very, very good, actress, song and dance. She could do the whole 9 yards. Wow. So she had as much potential to become successful as I did.
Right, yeah.
So if we're going out to LA, if we're going to move to LA, and that was what we were talking about, because we knew we've got to go somewhere where I'm not touring all the time.
Yeah.
We'll go. So it was like, go to LA, get a day job, work the clubs at night, just focus on Los Angeles. Don't fuck with touring at all.
Right.
Much. You know what I mean? Focus on that. She would do the same thing. And then we'd be auditioning all the time trying to get television and film.
Yeah.
And so if your career first, then that means if all of a sudden Pam gets cast in a film that's going to be shot in Argentina,
right,
and they're going to be down there on for 6 months, you know what I mean? Well, she goes.
Yeah.
And we can't afford for me to go,
Right.
you know. And I mean, those are the kind of things you go, that's career first.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that, and that's the way your life's going to be.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a thing. Well, we both, as we talked about it, we go, that's not us. We're family first
Right.
people, you
Wow.
know. And so I go, then how are you going to compete on that top level when you're not career first minded? You're not going to be able to.
I know, yeah, it's going to be.
You're
yeah.
not. You have to be career
can't, yeah,
first.
yeah,
You
right.
really do. So that was kind of a telltale when we first got talking that maybe that wasn't our path,
Yeah.
because that was where we were headed. We thought that's where we're supposed to go. And then the more we talked about it, and I've told this story a million times, the more we talked about it, we were like, I asked Pam, we wouldn't choose Los Angeles to live just willy nilly.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're choosing that because it's corporate headquarters.
Yeah.
You know, so we go, we put in the time, we're career first, we work our ass off, and somebody does get really successful, and we make a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, what do you want to do then? And Pam was like, well, we want to live in Sarasota. We know that. We know we love Sarasota.
Yeah.
So we would figure out, we'd buy a house here, we'd keep a condo in LA once we had that kind of money. So that kind of got us moving towards, do we want to live in a place we don't want to live
Yeah. Why
for
would you do that?
years
Yeah.
to make enough money to go to the place we want to live?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the whole thing wrapped around that was, you know, is one of us really dedicated to being at the top level of our field?
Right.
And is it really important that we have a lot of money?
Right.
You know, a lot. Where you can have the mansion and all the shit,
Right.
you know. And we didn't grow up that way.
Right.
You didn't grow up
No,
that
yeah,
way,
yeah,
you know. And now Mike did. He's fucking trust funds.
Just
baby.
rich. Just
Uh,
I don't even
but-
need to do this. I mean, I'm just.
I know. It's amazing he's even here. You know, they give up the Maserati. but you know, so that was the thing, was like, now, you know, when it comes down to it, let's create a happy life for ourselves. So how do we do that and stay in art?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, well, there was only one way. Open a fucking comedy club. That was it. There
Yeah.
was no other. There's no other answer to this.
Yeah.
But the fact that if we can get a comedy room going, even just a little weekend room, you know, if we can get a little weekend room, that we were thinking, God, if we can get a little weekend room going down Sarasota, and we can net $50,000 a year out of it,
Right.
and then I can pick up enough gigs around Florida and that
Right.
kind of thing to make another 15, and Pam can go get some other little side gig and she can pick up another 15, then we can make $70,000 a year, and we can eke out a nice little living for ourselves,
Right,
and, you know,
right,
and be
right.
happy, you know, and live in a nice little house and do our thing, you know. And that was kind of where our heads were at,
Right.
you know. And it got better than that, but but you know, that was, you know, it really was, you know, just looking at each step of the way, looking at what is your own personal, what is your idea of personal happiness, you know, and really what do you need? What do you need? And then gear your life that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think if you gear your life that way, because you're content and you're happy and you're enjoying your life, you have a tendency to be more successful than you ever thought you would be, because opportunities are going to start popping
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
that you
Right.
never really planned on,
Yeah.
because you're just in the right zone.
Yeah, you're
and
doing
you're in
the
the
thing,
right
yeah.
place, and you're doing the right things for the right reasons. And it's all individual. You know, for somebody else, the other way would have been the right way, and this would have been the total wrong way
Yeah.
to do it for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that you know, you just there's a point where you just want to do some introspection.
Yeah.
And really go, what do I, you know, I like looking out like when I'm 80 years old, if I make it to 80, and I mean literally, I was having this conversation with Pam when I was 30.
Yeah.
You know, and she was 24.
Yeah.
You know? And we're going, okay, we're 80, and you're 72.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do we see ourselves?
Yeah.
Do we see ourselves living in a mansion in Beverly Hills? Or do we see ourselves living in a beach cottage over by Siesta Key, watching sunset? You know, do we see ourselves in the mountains? Do we see ourselves living in Manhattan?
Right.
You know, where would you want to wake up on my 80th birthday and be like, oh, that would be really cool?
Yeah.
And when you answer that question, now you've got an end game. Now you know where the path is headed, and it's much easier to get on the path and stay focused on it because you know where you want to be on the other end. Rather than, I think lots of times people get into the point of going, okay, this is the career I choose, right? Whatever it is, and I want to be as good as I can be. I'm not a slacker, you know. I'm not in this just to get by, you know. I want to be really good at it, and I really want. And so you get caught up in what society says that is. What society says a successful doctor's supposed to be, or a successful lawyer is supposed to be, or writer is supposed to be, and how they're supposed to live, and how, you know what I mean? There's like this stereotypical definition, and I think people fall into that.
Yeah.
You know, when that it's not necessarily. I mean, that doesn't mean you have to be that way.
No.
At all. You
No.
know. Who was it? It was. It was Brian Johnson, who's the lead singer for AC/DC.
Yeah.
He did a little article in one of the magazines. He lives here, and
Oh,
we all know Brian.
Yeah.
He's been here.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
He's been here as long as I have.
Yeah.
And him and his wife Brenda, and they're wonderful, and they're
that's
you know
so
they're
cool,
out,
huh?
and they know a ton of people here know them.
Yeah.
And they're just great people. And but he was asked that question of you know, what you want to be. Shit, now I'm losing my train of thought. Where was I? Okay, we're headed on.
Like how to break the mold. You don't necessarily have to live by society's definition.
Right. I'm trying to think of what was the last thing in that article that he was talking about. And I think it had to do if he had to just, now I got to go get the fucking magazine.
If he didn't do music, is that what it?
Nah, it was along that lines. Damn it, I hate when that happens. Right in the middle of your senior moment. All right, I'll think of it in a minute.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You tell a lot of like stories in your set. Did you always start off doing that, or?
I switch. I always wanted to do it, but it's very tough because then people start listening instead of like. But I think it comes from writing. Like I would write funny articles, and that was when I really started to like get things published. And then I'd try to put like a message in there too, but generally make it funny. And then I switched. I was probably 3-4 years in, and it was tough at first, but once I got because basically it's just weird because the way if you write a new joke, you're like, oh, I've got a new 7-minute story, and you go to an open mic.
You only have 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I mean, even if they're like, okay, we'll let you do the 7, it's hard to find the beats. Like, first of all, to get where the beats in the story are going to be, where the punchline's going to be. So you're basically going to be like, look, I'm going to talk for 7 minutes and maybe hopefully get 5 laughs. But then once you tell it 3-4 times, you're like, okay, that's where this is, and then you try to tie
It's like knowing how to tell it too, to the right way.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm getting better at, that where something can happen to me and then I can turn it on stage, within a month or two. But yeah, it's tough, but once you get it, and basically every sentence should move the story and should be funny, ideally both, or one of those two things, and then and then you just have to
get rid of the unnecessary details,
cut it,
sort of thing.
Even like I have a story I'm telling now where it's like I try to go to jail, and
that shit's funny as hell.
Thanks, man. I think, but the overall thing, but there's still so many places where I'm like, that's too dead. I gotta put something in there and like, or take it out, or but it's just that process is really fun.
That's what I always see. Like, it's just always so funny to see like a very amateur open micer go up and try to tell a story,
Right.
Because they feel like that's like the easiest thing to do,
Right.
is to
Yeah.
tell that funny
It's
story.
usually a huge mistake.
But it's like usually like that you gotta wait till you're good at stand up before you can start telling stories on stage. It feels like, or
Well, you
something.
have to realize that and I teach that you've heard me teach.
yeah,
this
you're
a
like
million times.
don't do your fucking stupid ass rabbits story.
Well,
You
the
know
thing
what I
about
mean?
it is you can do the
Like,
rabbit
just
story,
do
but
the-
realize you got to get a laugh every 30 seconds in
Yes,
that rabbit
yeah,
story.
exactly.
You know, or if you take a full minute for description, that next, as soon as you get through with that minute of description,
it
no
better be
laughs,
like
you better
bam,
hit
bam,
5
bam.
laughs in a row. Better be rapid fucking fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
It better be a payoff.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
because the audience up here is expecting. You know, that's the thing is that I get so many people that come to the class and they do their thing, and I go, what you just did is a humorous and clever monologue.
Right, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
It's
a
nice.
one-man show
It's
thing or
nice,
yeah.
but it ain't stand-up
No.
comedy.
No.
Okay? And I know that because I come from an acting background.
Right.
I know what you just did. I get it. It's what I would have done before I got into stand-up, and
Yeah,
I would
right.
have thought that would have been really clever and funny because it's you talk for 3 minutes and you had 3 laughs.
Right.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably 2. And in an acting monologue, that's okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
that's-
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all
you're
right.
killing it.
Exactly. But these people come in here with an expectation, as we all know.
Yeah.
And you know what I like to do when I explain that to them is I stop, and they don't know what I'm doing, and I take my phone and I put it on the stopwatch, and I hit it, and I shut up, and I let it run for a minute.
Yeah.
And then I go, that was a minute.
Yeah.
And you realize how
Oh
long
man, I know.
a minute
Yeah.
of silence is,
Yeah.
especially when people are watching you, waiting on something to happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Real awkward.
So I go, if you're just yapping and the expectation is laughter and 30 seconds goes by and you hadn't gotten close,
Yeah.
the crowd's getting a little antsy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And I don't know about you, I'm getting
I know.
antsy.
You start panicking.
Yeah, we're
Talking
getting a little
fast.
antsy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Start
oh my
sweating
God.
for no reason whatsoever.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Your eyes
Oh.
are bugging. You're like, oh man.
But that's the thing, you know. I tell them that in every form of spoken word performance, the story is the most important, and humor supports the story. Right.
Right.
In stand-up comedy, it's the exact opposite.
That's so true,
The
yeah.
story is nothing but a coat rack.
Yeah.
To
Right.
hang jokes on.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Right.
because we don't give a fuck about the story,
Yeah.
really.
We're not that interested in
Not
it.
really,
No.
you know. Because I've said this many times that I'll get a first timer in my class, and they get up and tell their story, and then we critique it. And in the critique, we start going. You know, somebody will go, you know what? I think if you were at a dry cleaner instead of the convenience store, and you did this instead of that, man, that would just seems like it'd be a lot funnier. And the person on stage will always go, but that's not how it happened.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? They're so
Yeah.
wrapped up in that, and you're going, nobody gives a fuck how it happened.
Trying to be truthful.
Yeah, don't
I
be
know.
truthful. There's no truth here.
No.
It's all
Yeah.
lies. Don't you love when you do a bit on stage that's a little over the top and they, like you really did
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I do a little line
shot the
about.
dog?
Yeah, I do a little line about being in about renting going to Huntsville, Alabama on a vacation because I got a good deal on Air T&T, Air Trailer and Turf. And I go, you hadn't heard that? That's great. You know, and then I explained the great 5-star trailer we were in. I said, you could hunt from your lazy boy. And I go, I got a 5-point buck from a full recline position. And then I go, nah, it's just a dog.
Oh,
and,
jeez.
and then
Yeah.
I go, why
That's
would
exactly
you,
how they react.
I know, and then I go, why would you put a hat on a German Shepherd? What kind of idiot would do that, right? And we actually put a slide up of a dog with a hat on with a rack, like an antler rack.
Yeah.
And it either gets a laugh or it gets that, ooh.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, I'm going to stop for just a second and clarify something. I did not go to North Alabama and shoot a dog from a lazy boy
Yeah.
on a deck on a double
Yeah.
wide trailer. Okay,
Idiots.
that
Yeah.
didn't happen. Okay.
It's funny.
But there's just the whole idea of it, you know. So
I have like one story, but it's really the way I lay it out. It's almost like a bit because it sounds so ridiculous. I
I go. One of my first paid gigs was at a strip club at 12 o'clock in the afternoon on Father's Day, and it sounds like a setup for like a really terrible bullshit like a good like almost like a one-liner or something.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like no, that's all true. The only thing that's different is that it was at 12 o'clock at night, and it sounds funnier at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the only thing I switched around.
But you know the thing about what you just said, and I'll bring that out in class.
Yeah.
Like you said 3 things, right? I went to a strip
club
club at noon on Father's Day.
Yeah.
All right, I go, that was 3 setups without a punch.
Right.
Yeah.
Strip club, go for a laugh. Noon in a strip club, go for a laugh.
Right.
Father's Day at noon in a strip
Yeah.
club, go for a laugh. So
Instead, I'm just using Father's Day as the laugh.
exactly.
Yeah. Right,
So
right,
it's
right.
like, think about everywhere you can, even if it's just a little half laugh.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? It doesn't
Just
have to
add
be a
it,
full killer fucking thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm guilty of it too, of
Yeah.
making statements where I go, if I really sat down, pen and pencil, and crafted everything the way I should and really got it tight, there's a lot of laughs that we all miss.
Yeah.
Opportunities. For
Opportunities for laughs.
that we all miss.
Yeah,
But
and that's kind of the cool thing. If you don't do a joke for even a year, you're just like, I'll retire that one, assuming you didn't record it anywhere, and then you do it again, you suddenly find all these like new laughs and it's fresh. Yeah, it's really
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, how many times you done a bit and you fuck it up a little bit?
yeah.
And
Oh
you
yeah,
get
it gets a better laugh. Than
And it gets better.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I've been doing it wrong the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like writing on stage
gotta go
or
pee.
something. Yeah.
Carry on if you like or whatever you want to do.
Well, what time is the interview? Is it coming up shortly?
Let me check.
Man. Yeah, I just always struggled like trying to tell a story, and like I just tried to
So he's got
at least 5
Yeah,
minutes.
okay.
Okay. And I'm just going to leave him on stage. I'm just going to go right up, sit down beside him, and start the little interview thing.
That's great. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll knock that out in 15, 20 minutes, and then it'll be
Yeah.
obvious when it's over.
So we'll just wrap this up then, I guess.
Sure, whatever, you can carry on
Yeah.
or wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, telling but like what was I saying?
About the stories.
Yeah, trying to tell like a story. It's like I would try to go to like mixed mics where like people are doing like music.
Yeah, I
and
would
like
do that too. Yeah.
poetry, and I would try to do it then because they give you longer sets. They give you like 15 minutes. The problem is you're trying to tell like a story about tripping acid with Mormons, like right after somebody like screamed into the microphone with like their weird like emo
God.
poetry shit. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like I learned that you have to like fluff up your story. You have to almost have to do like a little bit of stand up, raw stand up, just to get them to like you, to pay attention to your stupid ass story. But you can't just go like right into your story.
To do a story, yeah, and I think and that's true sometimes. Like for a club set,
Yeah.
especially if I'm middling,
Yeah.
or featuring, or I'll come in and just like try to be like bam, bam, I'll get them to know me and then go into the stories.
Right.
But there's other times like it's fun just to sit down and just be like you're writing the story, but that comes with time and confidence. And at those mics, there's no chance. 'Cause
No,
you have to make yourself something that's different quick. Like
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Right.
the story thing is, I don't know. When I started, I would just write a different type of bit every time. So I'm like, it's gonna be set up punch, like and I'd write like a 5-minute set of that, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna do a 5-minute thing of this, and then when I started telling stories, I was like, oh, I'm not ready to do this.
Yeah.
But I like when they're true, and I like the jail thing. That's me trying to go to jail. That story's way longer. Like I tried to go to
Yeah.
jail so many different ways, and it was my week of my life where
Yeah.
I did that, and now it's down to like 3 things I did, and I'm like, man, I might have to cut it down to just 2 because it's still too long. Like,
Yeah.
but I like when people go like, did that happen? You're like, oh shit, yeah, and here's
Oh,
the
yeah.
real story, and then you tell
Right.
them and even like I don't know if you saw that early, like the gay bar thing. That's like
Yeah,
a real thing that happened
that's a good
with my
story.
friend Brandon. Like, yeah, it's like funny, but then that is like 2 different nights like combined into one, and
Right, which you can do that though. Like
yeah,
you can.
yeah.
It's weird.
You can do anything you want.
You can
yeah.
do
just
anything
make
you
a
want.
Full bullshit.
You can
story.
lie. You can
Yeah,
do whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter.
But I like when there's when it's like, no, this is
Some
a
truth to it.
truth thing. Yeah, I always try to make it like something that happened in my life.
Yeah.
So, ideally something that's funny, and then have like some kind of a message, a moral I learned or something. And then even if you watch Lennox, like he could sit there and go 2-3 minutes without a laugh, but it doesn't feel like that at all, just because he commands the stand.
His command is insane.
And you're so invested in what
yeah.
he's talking about.
It's like
and he's-
Morpheus up there,
I
sitting
know.
there, like so
Yeah.
philosophical and everything, and yeah, like a preacher almost. Very good.
Yeah, and then when he
Like
gets a
sermon.
laugh though, like Les was saying, he'll do the thing where he'll go, 2-3 minutes, just get everyone so invested emotionally, and then he'll just be like bang, 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 like you just hit them to where
hits it so quick and powerful. It is funny.
Yeah,
it's like I learned that mistake too, like where I tried to make up a story one time. Like I was serving.
What was it about?
It was such a terrible idea, but I've been writing like into this like autistic joke, and that's where I probably should have started. Was like, I can't make a joke about autistic people, so I try to turn it on me, and make it seem like. But I had just started serving here, so I wrote this bullshit story that never even came close to happening, and it was about me waiting on a table, and their son was autistic.
Yeah,
and it was like I didn't even get to the point where I was trying to get to, which was like why am I judging him? He calculated the tip before the check even hit the table. You know what I mean? Like I spilt my glass on him. He just counted the ice cubes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was doing all those like really kind of like crude like jabs at him, but they were like, they could tell that I was lying. Like they could just tell like there's no way this happened at all. And then on top of it, I didn't like fluff the story up very well. They already kind of didn't like me, and the mic kind of sucked that night. And I'm just sitting there like just dying, and I'm like, this wasn't even worth it. If this was a true story, at least it would have been worth it to try and make it funny. But this wasn't even a real story.
Right, yeah.
Why am I putting myself through this? This hurts. Like they all hate me right now, and they basically just like, did you just come up here just to make fun of autistic people? Because this isn't funny at all. And like it was, but yeah, that's what I agree with you on that. Like some of it should be like real. Like some of it.
I think some, and I think you're just more excited to tell it. And then, there's like the gay bar story I did for San Fran competition where you're doing a set every night against 16 people, and it's like you have 6 minutes, and you're like, I gotta cut it. It was great because it made me like tighten it up. But Darryl was like, just tell the same, even though you don't want to tell the same joke every night. Get that bit like the best you can. Don't because it is intense. But then I was so sick of the story. Like I just hated telling it. And then now, then it went like a couple years, but now it's fun when I tell it because I can like relive that moment. Like I can put myself back into that moment and relive it. And I think that's important too because, like you said, even if you're not getting laughs, people are still like, "Oh, this really happened." Like, this guy's doing, and it should fit with your character because you are you, right?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, it's so crazy.
But I think like comedy in itself, even from the 80s to now, has just gotten so personal too. Like it's really made that shift like more and more.
Yeah, it's almost, it doesn't feel right unless you kind of know your comic. You know what I mean? If you're just up there, like nobody really knew who Mitch Hedberg was.
Right. Yeah.
And then I think even towards like the end of his career or his life or whatever, he started to like tell a little bit more, like get a little more personal with his jokes. Yeah. Like he started to place himself in it. Like I was here. Yeah. Like I was at, like, one of my favorite things is talks about being he's like I was in a casino and they told me to move out of the way of the fire exit. Here's some news, like if you're flammable, you are never in the way of a fire exit. Like, and I could tell like that happened to him. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't, he didn't just like sit in his car and write that. Like that, something happened to him and he was like, well, why would I, if there's a fire, I will be running with you. Like there's no reason to do that. And like, so you know what I mean? So some of it has to be personal. But then you see people, they'll go up there and they're doing like internet jokes. Right. Yeah. Like it's not personal at all.
Or the people who just go up and are like I was abused, and it's like, so you're like, man, what? Okay, people need to laugh. Like people who just use it for pure therapy and open mics, which is always funny. But when they're doing it every week, and you're just like, man, you're not doing
like you're not actually doing it.
Yeah, why are you doing this? Like,
dude, we had this one guy come up at our open mic, and like he comes up and he looks like he's like had just got out of like rehab. Like he was just depressed. He had dark circles under his eyes and stuff. And like the way he approached the stage is very slow and methodical, and like grabs the microphone, brings it up, and he's like, so I want to talk to you guys about something important. And I was like, in my mind, I'm going, if I don't hear a joke after this, this is going to be a fucking nightmare. And he goes, I want to talk to you about depression. And then he sat there and then literally like sat down on the stage to where like it's stupid. Like the reason why you have a stage is so you're elevated, so you're above people's heads, so they can see your waist and above, basically. And he's below that, so everybody's like kind of like, what the fuck's happening? And he starts squatting down and he's taking like a knee, you know what I mean? Like he's praying, and he starts talking, and I'm like, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is either going to be like the worst thing ever or the most genius. Yeah, he's going to just longest just like a 3-minute fucking setup to like one of the best punches ever. And it never happened, of course. He fucking comes with that. And then we're trying to get him off stage, and he's holding the microphone up, like trying to getting ready to throw it at us almost. And he's like, I'm not done.
Because I'm not done talking yet. I need to explain this to the world. And I'm like, I looked right at him. I'm like, dude, there's 5 people in here.
Bigger moment, yeah.
This is not the world.
I know.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah, even like when I like with a one-man show or so, I'll go watch like a Fringe Fest or something, and then when it's some people do that like at the show, and as a stand-up, I'm like, whoa, this feels weird.
It's
like,
so awkward.
Yeah, but that's and then just like the rampant mental illness. Yeah, because it is nuts just to do this in the first place. But when people are that nuts, you're like, oh my god, like
That's how I can always tell if there's a crazy person when they're like not overthinking it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you're like, is it your first time? I'm like, yeah, and like. You're like, oh, okay. Well, don't worry, don't panic. Like, I look at you like I'm not panicking. Like,
yeah, no.
I got this. You're like, oh, you're crazy. Okay, you're supposed to be nervous, but it's okay to be nervous. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, nope, I'm good. And you're like, okay,
All right, this is
see
gonna
how
be
this
great.
goes.
Yeah,
He's like-
it is fun to watch like that once, but then when you go to a mic and you're like, this guy again?
Yeah, yeah.
you
How
should
does
be
it keep
banned.
getting on?
Yeah, I know. Get this guy out of here. Yeah.
See, I know this guy. His name's Jeff. I love him to death because he's like. I could tell that he had definitely tried it back in the day. Like he's like in his 30s, like 32. But I could tell like he used to live out in L.A. Like he grew up in L.A. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like he had done like TV shows, like small parts and stuff like that. But he just has like a little bit. He's just missing a little something.
Yeah.
So what I like to do, he has no material, but he's all energy and all just randomness. And he has one of these skills that I think that a lot of people don't possess, which is when he's on stage, there's not a single person in that room that's not paying attention.
Right. Well, yeah,
Like he just gets them. Like
Yeah.
the guy who's mopping the floor in the back stops and is like,
What the hell is this?
"What's
doing?
happening right
Yeah.
now?" So what I do is like he comes to every open mic that comes here. He just does. He's like committed to it, but he's not always on the list. So if I'm looking at a show and they're like this audience is not reacting the way we want them to react, or like they're almost just being like they're just being dicks. Like
Right,
they're not
I
they're
hate
not getting involved.
in that mode,
I go,
yeah.
I punish them with Jeff.
Oh,
I
really?
swear to God, I go, you know what? Y'all aren't into this? Like, y'all brought this upon yourselves. Please put your hands together for Jeff Grobman. He comes up and he lights them on fire
Really?
with just awkwardness and all energy. Like, no material. Really?
Do they laugh?
They,
or are
they either are laughing or they're appalled or they're, like, listening intently.
Right.
Like, and that's all I want.
Those are
because
the best reactions.
yeah, because when like the fourth monotone comic that goes up there and is just like, so yeah, that's like, what's the deal with cell phones?
Yeah.
You know, like you kind of get tired. I'm telling you, I'm like, Jeff, let's go, and I throw him up there and he goes with a boom boom chicken wing motherfuckers, and he's going insane, and the room doesn't know what to do with it, and I've actually positioned him. Like, you know, I'm a host now here, so like, if I see like a new up and comer, I'm like trying to see like what they possess,
Yeah.
and I'll throw him in front of him, so you can't
Oh.
to see if you can follow it.
Yeah.
If you can follow Jeff, like that means you kind of know how to like moderate your energy better.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can't go up after somebody like Jeff and just be like, so anyway. Unless you know how to transfer into that energy.
Yeah, to
you
get
can't
them-
just pretend that didn't happen. Like
Not
the
acknowledge it.
Tasmanian devil just went up on stage. You can't just not acknowledge that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love
Yeah,
doing
and I
that.
do like in mics where there are those crazy people who are just like they're like beloved. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I like having this guy or girl around who just
Right.
does something weird and it'll never. Because that's one thing when you're doing stand up that for the like you're saying the monotone like oh I did.
Yes.
I'm like, what do you want to do with this? How are you gonna? This would never turn into
No.
like something profitable. Not or just not that it's profitable. Like you'll never get booked somewhere for
Yeah.
this. Like,
Never come to fruition.
yeah, and it's just such a weird thing where it's like, you know, especially when people do the exact same thing every week. I'm like, your whole week you never thought of one new. All you
That's
do is
weird.
one tiny thing. Like, yeah, just
That's the definition of insanity to me. When
Yeah.
you're coming into the same thing and
Yeah.
it's not working in the same
I
same
know,
way, you deliver it the same way.
or it's just working okay, and you're like, well, you got something, but man, just do,
Yeah.
try something different. Yeah,
That's what you should. That's like signals to work. Like if it's like kind of working, that means there's potential. So you need to work more on it.
Yeah.
If it's not working at all for the third time, like you need to drop that shit. Like just
Yeah,
let it go.
move on, yeah.
Just let it go. Stop
yeah.
trying to make it funny. It's
Yeah.
not fucking funny. Like it's stupid.
Yeah, I love the comics too, like open mics where they go up and then everyone's like, "Oh, you just see everyone go for a cigarette."
Yeah.
you know, like I'd feel horrible if that was. If
Yeah.
I went up and I saw people get up, I'd be like, "Oh
They're
man."
like this fucking guy
I
again.
know this shit.
Even if it's funny, that like one of my buddies, Cam Bertram, love the guy. But he has like a great statement, and he goes, "Complacency kills more comedians than diabetes," and it's the truth. Like you could have a guy that has this amazing bit that's hilarious, but then he does it
for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it never changes. And
Yeah.
it like he doesn't, and then he just complacency. He's safe. He feels safe with that. I'm on home base. I'm good to go. Like,
Right. Yeah.
That like eventually those guys get the cigarette walkers. Like they just walk out like, listen, funny story. I've heard it 10,000 times.
I know.
I have
yeah.
to get the fuck out of
The
here.
club's like, look, man, we can't have you back.
Yeah.
Your closer's the same as your promo video.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Your crowd is mouthing the words with you. Like you need to get.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. And then like a really great bit. I like where Jim Gaffigan says like he's like I have to do the Hot Pockets thing because kids will come to my show and
Yeah.
be like. But I'm like he does it as an encore. Like he comes back out and it's like
Yeah.
a whole thing and you can leave if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that level of a bit where it's so freaking good. Like you got to do it, but most are it's just.
It's not like tater salad. Like,
yeah,
like Ron White's tater salad.
That's so funny.
Like you just have
Yeah.
to do it. I love.
And if somebody like heckles me with a bit that I'm, because I've had it after too, where like somebody will be like, "I brought all my friends out to see you do this joke and you didn't do it," and I'm like, "Oh man,
yeah.
I wish you could." Yeah, so it's
That's
that
weird.
sucks too. Yeah,
Right.
but it's if somebody heckles a bit at me, I'll be like, "Okay, I'll do it." Like,
Yeah.
But
I love Doug Stanhope's take on that because like he's had like you see it on a special where people are like, do the banana story, and he's like, I did that like fucking 8 years ago. I don't remember the story. Next question. Like he doesn't even try to fucking placate. He's just like, I don't remember. I don't care. Like I'm not talking about this shit. Like what's his name? Who's that guy? The cigarette. His name escapes me right now. Fuck. Dice.
oh,
Dice.
yeah.
Like I mean, like his fans literally are like, hickory dickory dot.
Yeah.
Like they know it's coming. Like they still listen to it. Like they just
Yeah.
love it. Like that's a weird place to be in. I think.
I know, kind of cool though, but yeah,
Kinda, like-
unless you hated the joke, you'd be like,
Like
"Fuck."
rock star shit. Yeah. Like, cause that's the difference, right? Musicians can just like they have the song that they played in the '80s and people still listen to that fucking song.
Yeah,
Like you
and
can't.
people will snap if they don't play it. Like,
Yeah, and they'll be pissed. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you're gonna play your new album?
Yeah.
The fuck? Yeah. Yeah, but like the comedy's like opposite of that. Like,
Yeah.
Like Louis, you can't watch Louis C.K. hilarious 10 times.
Right.
I like to listen in the
Put
background.
it on again, yeah.
No, it's great, but no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny. Damn, I think he's up there. Probably wrap this up.
Yeah, go give
Dude,
Darryl a watch. Yeah.
Awesome podcast, man.
Yeah, man.
Y'all are fucking awesome.
With me. That was very
So, where can they find you?
You could just Chris Griffin comedian. Do that. I don't know.
You like your website?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like
or
just-
at Christopher. It's a weird. I don't know why I picked that. But it's like
Christopher.
Grist. Yeah, it's like the first 3 letters of my last name, and then the
You're
rest of my first name. I don't know. People would. It was a dumb thing.
Yeah, because now it's a little bit harder to find you.
Yeah,
Misspell your
Christopher
shit.
at Instagram. Yeah, I don't.
All right,
I
man.
don't know.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah,
thanks for
bud.
tuning in. Good set tonight too. That was awesome. Thank you again for listening to another episode of the Conversation Podcast here at Mccurdy's Comedy Theater. Please go to our website, mccurdyscomedy.com, for all of our upcoming shows, events, special events, all that good stuff. And Darryl Lenox, follow him. Please follow him on Twitter at Darryl Lenox. It's DARRYLLENOX. Got a lot of great knowledge, and he's a hilarious comic. Also, follow Chris Griffin at Christopher. That's right, you heard it, Christopher on Twitter. That's GRISTOPHER. And Geno Williams, you know where to find him. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.